want me? Come and get me!
Here we go again.
Come on, guys!
Welcome back, everyone. Baskin-Robbins definitely found out. Baskin-Robbins always finds out. Marvel just dropped a brand new Captain America Brave New World trailer with a whole bunch of Ant-Man jokes, Baskin-Robbins jokes, and a much bigger part of Red Hulk's fight with Captain America, so we'll break it all down. There's obviously a lot of jokes going on here during the context of the movie, but in real life, they're also using this for a bunch of tie-in stuff, which they do for all Marvel movies. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up, and we're going to get the Super Bowl in a couple weeks. We're probably going to get the first big Fantastic Four trailer during that too. But if you don't remember, this is meant to be Dale from the Baskin-Robbins, where Ant-Man worked briefly after he first got out of prison, then got fired from because Baskin-Robbins always finds out. So obviously this is meant to be a joke calling back to that. But the other big thing going on during this, even though there is a lot of iffy CG going on here, like you hope it looks a little bit better by the time the final version of the movie comes out, but during Red Hulk's fight with Captain America, you actually get a look at some of the things that his new vibranium wingsuit from Shuri in Wakanda actually do. Basically turning it into a large Hulk-size game of pinball, just knocking him all over the place here. This scene seems like it's attached to this part here where he hulks out for the first time, turns into Red Hulk, loses control because obviously he has no experience with actually being the Hulk. What an ironic twist. He said way back during the Incredible Hulk movie that he wanted the power that was inside of Banner, and now he effed around and found out and he got that power, just not the way he was expecting it.
God damn it, I want what's inside of him!
So it seems like Captain America tries to lead him away from the White House, from all the people, so that he doesn't kill them with collateral damage because he's crushing everything in the path here around the White House when he first hulks out. He taunts him because, of course, you taunt a Hulk, the Hulk is going to take the bait. Who tries to charge, then Thunder Punch him like a Red Hulk Thunder Punch, which would normally liquefy Captain America under normal conditions, liquefy most Marvel characters. Even if he were just using Captain America's vibranium shield, that wouldn't protect his whole body by himself, like he would definitely be dead. But it looks like the newest version, like the blue vibranium wingsuit that we see him pull out in this clip here, like you can actually see it in his closet next to the white vibranium wingsuit. It looks like it's absorbing all the kinetic energy the same way Black Panther's vibranium suit did, because zoom and enhance here, you can actually see the inner part of his wings crackling with the same type of energy when they get charged up, after he basically turns the wings into like this protective cover, like a protective ball around him, turning himself into a large pinball that winds up going full pinball down between the cars. The funny part of that is that even though his suit is absorbing most of Red Hulk's kinetic damage, and obviously that's going to be really useful for him later, that doesn't completely negate any of the effects of what's happening to his innards. Like his organs are probably sloshing around in his body. You wonder how much damage is being done to the innards of his body. Usually these big Marvel movies aren't really concerned with physics like that. Like, no, don't ask too many questions. But remember, Black Panther typically used those kinetic charges for area of effect bursts. My assumption is that Captain America will do something similar during this fight too, but maybe not like the exact same, like they want to somehow evolve that ability. He'll just wind up using the energy to slow Red Hulk down in some way so that he can finally talk him down, sun's getting real low style. Because even a large blast of energy like that would barely phase any of the Hulks, and Red Hulk during this movie is meant to be the fully mindless rage monster Hulk when he first hulks out. Like, this is meant to be right after he hulks out. We've talked about some of the differences between Red Hulk and Green Hulk during my previous videos, but one of the other notable differences in the comics is that Red Hulk is able to speak much more easily than Banner was, way more chatty. In the comics, it took Banner way longer to become more of the smart Hulk, Professor Hulk persona, where he could speak with the mind of Banner, but the powers of the Hulk. In the comics, Thunderbolt Ross is able to do that way faster, like speak with the mind of Thunderbolt Ross, but the body of the Red Hulk. So at some point during their fights during the movie, however many fights wind up happening, we will probably eventually hear Harrison Ford's voice inside the body of the Red Hulk. As opposed to, say, like full Green Hulk, especially when he first started hulking out, when he only spoke in single words and broken phrases like caveman-style speech. I don't know if any scenes with Dale here from Baskin Robbins are actually going to wind up in the final version of the movie. A lot of this stuff winds up being deleted scenes when they do campaigns and integrations where they'll film special stuff outside of the movie for the movie. Sometimes the characters will wind up in the background of the movie in some way. Most recently in the MCU, he gave Ant-Man an award as a result of his actions for helping the Avengers save the world and bring the other half of the universe back with the Hulk snap during Avengers Endgame. Like, no hard feelings, here's an award for being so amazing. Thank you for bringing us all back to life. A lot of you also point out that he should have been giving that award to the Rat, like the Rat is the real hero of Avengers Endgame, the Rat who saved the universe. That would have actually been a funny what-if episode, like if they did an episode based on the Rat. But if it wasn't clear during that movie, just because so much other stuff was going on in and around that movie with all the Kang-related stuff, Dale was supposed to be the person at the end of the movie, Ant-Man the Wasp: Quantumania, who baked the ant-shaped cake for Cassie Lang. The whole idea is that in-universe, before Dale went to work at Baskin-Robbins as the manager, he told Scott Lang about baking cakes. So it was meant to be another callback joke to the first Ant-Man movie, the way that all the larger Baskin-Robbins jokes always call back to that first Ant-Man movie, which now they're using for an in-universe tie-in Marvel commercial for real-life products. I guess in context, if you're thinking about it, Dale had some reason for being in the Washington, D.C. area while the Red Hulk versus Captain America fight was going down, because technically he's in the San Francisco area where Ant-Man and everybody else live from that movie. Totally picked the wrong day to fly to Washington, D.C. But the reason why they're doing such an obvious commercial for the movie with these products is it's meant to also be a Tide ad where he spills the Baskin-Robbins on his shirt, like this giant mess, so Tide comes along and cleans it up. Technically, in-universe, that's the reason why Iron Man created Damage Control, to basically clean up after the Battle of New York in the first Avengers movie. They dealt with that whole concept during Spider-Man Homecoming. That was the reason why the Vulture turned into a villain, because Tony Stark's Damage Control company was bought out by the government and became like an arm of the US government, and then just took over all the jobs that Vulture and his crews were working. Everybody remembering all the South Park jokes. So Marvel's doing these tie-in commercials for the movie to help cover the budget for the movie. They do it on all of their movies to different degrees, but part of the reason why you're seeing so many for Captain America: Brave New World is because of the 4 rounds of reshoots basically turned this movie into one of the most expensive movies that's ever been made in recent history. It went from being normal Marvel expensive for really big movies, which is like over $200 million, still a lot of money, to crazy expensive, like over $300+ million because of all the reshoots. So they gotta find some way to cover the cost of the movie. They did this a lot for Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, even during the original Captain America Civil War movie. Talk about bringing it back around to Captain America, the last Captain America movie. That was probably one of my favorite examples of them doing stuff like this. You probably remember all the funny tie-in commercials that they did for that, because it wasn't like Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, where at the time they weren't trying to hide all the different actors that were in the movie, besides say like Spider-Man and Black Panther. So when they were doing stuff like this, like when they wanted to earn extra money to cover the cost of Captain America Civil War, they could do stuff with Robert Downey Jr., with Captain America, all the funny little clips that they wound up releasing around that. Probably one of the best marketing campaigns that Marvel has ever done for one of their movies, next to say like a Deadpool movie. That's probably the best way to promote a movie without having to give away spoilers for a movie inside trailers. You make a trailer that's not really a trailer. And because we've been talking a lot about the problems they've been having behind the scenes with Captain America: Brave New World, all the reshoots that they've done, you remember something similar wound up happening to them when they were making Captain America: Civil War, because the original plot for Captain America 3 was way smaller and way cheaper as a movie. Originally, they weren't going to have any of the other Avengers characters, there wasn't going to be any Spider-Man, there wasn't going to be any Black Panther, and generally it would have felt like a much more self-contained, much smaller movie. Baron Zemo was always going to be the main villain, but the big MacGuffin was going to be something from the comics called the Mad Bomb. You probably remember hearing about this a while ago. They didn't have any of the subplot of Winter Soldier being the one to kill Iron Man's parents. That didn't exist because Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man wasn't going to be in the movie, but Winter Soldier himself was going to have a big arc in the film, like he was going to come back in a big way. But because they weren't going to have the other Avengers in the movie, there was no airport battle scene, no final fight between Iron Man, Captain America, Winter Soldier. In the climax of that verse in the movie, instead of the airport battle, Baron Zemo would have set off this mad bomb from the comics, which would have worked a lot like the compound in the first Kingsman movie, which Funny coincidence, you'll point out, because during Captain America Civil War, there were all the Star Wars jokes, which led to a lot of the Mace Windu, Nick Fury jokes because Samuel L. Jackson played both characters. But you remember, Samuel L. Jackson was the villain of the first Kingsman movie who set off something that is like what the Mad Bomb did in the comics, basically causing everyone around the world to start attacking each other. Captain America would have had this big moral conundrum about how he stops the people without killing them because they were all just normal civilians that were fighting against their will. Eventually, they find a way to negate the effects of the bomb. Everyone chills out. But the way the Marvel people explain it, Kevin Feige at the time just did not think that that was a good movie. Like, no, we need to do something bigger. We need to go bigger. So he's the one that worked with the lawyers in Sony to get Spider-Man in the movie, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Because his payday for that movie was so large, the Disney CEO, Bob Iger, at the time, had to approve Iron Man being in the movie. So Kevin Feige eventually convinced him it would be worth the money that they would wind up spending on it. Then told the Russos that they were going to be doing the movie as a version of Civil War and had them write that new script based on that, which they wound up filming. Ultimately, I think they made the right decision. Like, it was probably better as Captain America Civil War than it would have been with this Mad Bomb plot, which didn't sound that exciting at all. But that's why at the time you saw so many of these weird tie-in commercials that weren't actual trailers but felt like trailers, just because they had to cover those extra costs that drove the budget up when they turned it into Civil War. One of the thousands of ways that movie studios make money on movies that you don't actually see happening. You could just see all those brands backing up dump trucks of money to basically turn the movies into giant billboards for their products. Now they're kind of doing it again for Captain America Brave New World, like you have to offset the costs of all those reshoots somehow. But when you actually go see the movie in theaters, try to spot some of this in the background and see if you can tell what's an ad, like what's an integration, and what's just something that's incidental to the movie, like just a coincidence winds up in the background. Typically, anytime you see a really clear logo or a product and the camera focuses on the logo itself for more than like a half a second, it's basically paid placement that a brand gave money to Disney and Marvel to have them focus on in the movie. This has actually been happening for a long time in Hollywood. Like, everybody remembers the Wayne's World example. That's probably the best example of brand integration, like trying to tie in all these products to an actual movie, which they made fun of, but was actually an integration in the movie. Like, those are real brands that paid real money to be in the Wayne's World movie. They just paid off all those references, using it as an actual joke in the context of the movie, breaking the fourth wall. Deadpool is also a really easy way for Marvel to get away with stuff like that too, just because of the way he's able to break the fourth wall. Somehow it doesn't seem quite as egregious when they're actually calling themselves out on all this stuff that they're doing. But there's a bunch of big stuff coming up. We're supposed to get a new Daredevil Born Again trailer really soon. We got the Super Bowl trailers coming in a couple weeks, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff. Click here for my last big Fantastic Four trailer video, and click here to learn about the new Flash movie that James Gunn has been talking about. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.